So we're going to take something that looks like standard form, okay, that's in standard form over here, and we're going to undo the multiplication process and make it look like the two factors that we multiplied together to get it. Okay, so we're going to go work backwards on what we've been doing. So you need to know when I'm talking about A, I'm talking about the number in front of the x squared. When I'm talking about B, I'm talking about the number in front of the x. And then the C is the constant that's out there on the end. Okay, Josh, sit up straight. So in our example that's worked out for you, they multiply, or it multiplies the first term times the last term to get this x right here, to get the top part of my x. When I do it, other than this one that's typed out for you, I won't use the x squared. I will just use the a and the c in this top portion. It just gets too jumbled up in there for me. So I don't include the x squared in there. Okay? And then the b, just the number, okay, for the b. The two factors are like what you were doing in your warm-up today, where you're looking for two factors, two things that multiply together to give you this top number and add together to give you this bottom number. That's these two numbers that you are filling into the puzzle here. So as that we go along, it will make more sense as that we work it out. So all of your problems start off looking like this. Okay, they have that information for you. That's where your workspace is at. All of this other stuff on this example problem here is the steps just worked out for you one at a time. So you start with this blank X box. Okay, I call this the X box method because I have an X and I have a box. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Not to be confused with the game console. Okay. So, where did this 36x squared come from? From my last one times my first one, right? That's where that 36x squared came from. Where does this 15x come from? From the middle. It's that middle term. Bless you. Bless you again. Can you cover your mouth? Put your mask back on, please. We don't all want to be have that.
But why does, I'm not saying nothing, but why does teachers want us to sneeze inside of our mask?
Don't. You're supposed to sneeze inside your elbow or inside your shirt. But doing this, like this, it's really like, I mean, that's kind of, you know, when you're not wearing your mask, it's easier to do that and sneeze inside your shirt. But when you have your mask on, it's kind of hard to do that whole double take your mask off and pull your shirt up thing. I don't know. Anyway, so if you sneeze in your elbow, that's better than sneezing just out in the open, except it still. Okay, so back on topic so we can get through this before class ends. Okay, so in my boxes here, where did this x squared come from?
From your last. Oh.
From the first term right here. Oops.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. And the 36 was from my last term. Okay, so that's all information that we know. So all of this didn't require really any thought process other than just knowing where to put the information we have. Okay? Then in the next step right here, okay, so going from this step where we got it all set up, okay, so we set it up. Now we're going down here to this step, and we have to figure out what two factors multiply together. So they're going to multiply together to give me this and add together to give me that. So 12 and 3 does that for me. 12 times 3 gives me 36, and 12 plus 3 gives me 15. Huh? Abraham. Now, I need you to fix this because this 8, I have no clue where this random 8 came from. I don't even have any idea. So this random 8 needs to be fixed to 36.
What 8?
There you go.
I ain't got no in my book.
Yeah.
I'm on the right page.
Nah, G, you're on the wrong page.
That's the wrong box.
Not that box.
Hey.
Man, you slow.
Okay. So now that I've determined what my two factors are going to be, I can use that information to fill in my other two boxes. That's where those came in. Doesn't matter which one you put where. Okay? Just one goes in one box and one goes in the other. Abraham. The next step is this one that's up here. Okay? Finding the greatest common factors of each row and each column. Because, like I showed you at the beginning of class, when we were doing this before, we started out with the factored form, right? And we would put it here and figure out what goes in the boxes and work it out in here, in this section in here. So now we have this part and we need to figure out the top because that's the answer we're looking for. Okay? So what is my greatest common factor of 12x and x squared?
X.
X. That's why there's an x at the top there. What is my greatest common factor between 36 and 3x? Then I'm going to go the other direction between 3x and x squared. X. What are the only two factors that x squared has? What are the only two things I can multiply together to get x squared, guys?
Oh, X times X.
X times x. So if you have an x squared in this box, in this first box right here, by default, you have to have an x and you have to have another x. You have to have two x's being multiplied by each other to get x squared. What is your greatest common factor of 36 and 12? 12. 12 will divide evenly into 36 also. So now that I know what my factors are, now it's my job to put them in parentheses for my final answer. Just giving me the box work, that's just showing me your work. You are not done until that you have this answer in parentheses over here. And then I have a box over here for you to check your work using FOIL. Okay. Only because we used the box to set this up, so if we made a mistake in the box, then we can check it with our FOIL method. Okay. So we've got the first term, which would be x times x, which gives me x squared. Okay. So that checks out. That checks out. Okay. Then I've got my outside terms, which is x times 3, which gives me 3x. Then I've got my inside terms, which is 12 and x, which is 12x. Then my last terms, which are 12 and 3, so 12 times 3 is 36. Okay, so my 36 checks out. I've got a 3 and a 12, not a 15. Do they equal 15?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so it checks out. It works. Okay. So now let's walk through it where that it's not broken out all step by step, and it will start to make more sense for you as we do more of them. Okay. So what is going to go in the top of my x? 16. And okay, like I said, I'm not going to put the x squared in my x just because it gets too jumbled in there for me. So I'm just going to put numbers in my x, but you have to put the variables in your box. Okay. So what goes in the bottom? Include your symbol, so -8. So now I need factors of 16 that are going to add together to give me -8.
2.
Okay, so 2 times 8 gives me 16, but does 2 plus 8?
No, 4.
Okay, so 4 times 4 gives me 16, but does it give me a -8?
Oh.
Oh, -4 times -4.
Negative times a negative. Does that give me a positive 16 still? Yes. Does it add together to give me -8? Okay, I've got too many heads on desks. Everybody should be sitting up. Come on. Sit up. Head up, please. One, head up, please. Come on. Okay. So here's a hint. If this top number, you might want to write this down, if this top number is positive, then your two factors are going to have the same sign. They're going to have the same sign as whatever your bottom number is. Because two positives multiply to give a positive, and two negatives multiply to give a positive.
Can you say that one more time?
So if the top number is positive, your factors will both be the same sign of whatever your bottom number is. So you said it's -4 and -4. So we're going to fill in the box here. Zoom in a little bit more. So what went in this first box? What should be in this first box?
16. Oh. X squared and then the side one. 16. And then -4.
And then in those two other boxes, we're going to do -4x and -4x. What did I tell you are the only two things that multiply to give you x squared?
X times X.
X times x. So I know what those have to be, right? They're the only two things that can multiply together to give me x squared in that box. In this box, right? So what is my greatest common factor between 16 and -4x?
4.
It is 4. So let's check. If I do x times 4, is that going to give me -4x though?
No, it's -4.
So I need to use -4. Okay, and I have the same numbers here, so this must also be -4, right?
Yeah, plus tissues.
I think I just have my roll of paper towels. I don't know what happened to my tissues. They disappeared. Okay. So now I know what my factors are. X minus 4 times x minus 4. Can check all your boxes. X times x is x squared. X times -4 is -4x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. I checked it. So example number 3 and 4. I'm going to give you a minute to just fill in the information that you know. Okay, just fill in the information of the x's and the boxes that you know, that you're given from the problem.
Are you getting them notes in? Just making sure, bro. Yeah, right now.
So this is all that I was wanting you to write there. So if you continued and you worked on filling in more, then you're ahead of the rest of us. Okay. But this is the minimum of what I wanted you to do on your own. Did everybody get those set up correctly?
Yes.
So we talked about if this top number was positive, but what if the top number is negative?
No,
The same thing, that means that they are the same factors.
Yvonne was right. One has to be positive and one has to be negative. Because if they're both the same sign, you're going to get a positive answer, right? When you multiply them.
One's negative.
So one has to be positive and one has to be negative.
No matter what circumstances.
Okay, if that top number is negative, one's positive, one's negative. Okay. There's one other thing, you don't have to memorize this, but there's one other thing, that if the bottom number is positive, that means your bigger number will be the positive one, because that's what you have more of, right? If your bottom number is negative, then your bigger number is going to be negative of those two numbers. So in both of these examples, our top number is negative. So I know that one factor has to be positive and one factor has to be negative.
Right.
Okay, so any ideas on what my factors of negative 20 might be?
No, 5 and 4. 5 and 4.
5 is my bigger one. 4 is going to be my
And then you
smaller one.
Yeah, easy money, and it adds up to 1.
And it adds up to 1. So we've got 5x and minus 4x in my boxes now. And again, I've already told you one shortcut. We know x squared is x times x. So I don't have to figure out the greatest common factor there for this one. Okay? Jordan, are you awake? Cutter, are you awake? Juan? Okay, you taking notes? So what's my greatest common factor of 20 and negative 4x?
4 or 5.
No,
4.
So here's another shortcut I'm going to share with you guys really quick. If you already know that this has to be an x, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to multiply by it to get this?
Negative 4.
So that has to be negative 4 there. So if greatest common factor is harder for you, then maybe it's easier to fill in the blank, right? So I know that x times something has to give me negative 4x. So can I do the same thing here?
yes.
If I know this has to be x, what is going to multiply by x to give me 5x? 5. Then I can check, is 5 times negative 4 give me negative 20?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my factors are x plus 5 and x minus 4. When your a is 1, that's the number out front here. When your a is 1, the factors that you figure out here, just go in your blanks here actually. Do you see that pattern? Okay, you really don't need the boxes in this whole method if your a is 1. Once you've figured out that piece of your what two factors multiply to give you the negative 20, and add to give you the 1, you have your information that you need for your parentheses. The box is just verifying that you did it correctly. It's your check. Okay, so do you know what the numbers are going to be for the other one, Abraham? Or Jonathan?
Negative.
Positive 6 and negative 3.
Are you sure?
No.
Look, the 3 is already negative, so
So which one's got to have more, the negative or the positive, if you add them together?
the negative.
The negative.
Negative.
So 6 and 3 are right, but your 6 has to be the negative one.
Right.
So negative 6x and positive 3x. And I already told you that because my A was 1 on this one, I really didn't have to finish this box. What is my factors?
X negative 6, X 3, 5.
It does not matter which order you write the factors. Okay, x minus 6 times x plus 3 is the same as x plus 3 times x minus 6. It does matter that you group them correctly. It does not matter which order you group them in. Does that make sense? Okay, because whether I listed the 6x or the x minus 6 or the x plus 3 first, I would still have to multiply everything by everything. It doesn't matter which order you're multiplying it in. Okay, next page. Same process, but A is now greater than 1, meaning you do have to use the greatest common factor box. Okay, this is a must for this one because the A makes a huge difference. You have to account for that.
Can I go to the restroom right
Quickly. Okay. So this example done up top is just like the one on the first page where that it's showing you all of the steps. I'm not going to walk through all of these steps because we're going to do these examples underneath together. But that shows you step by step. So if you forgot which order we did steps in, then you can look back at the top there to see the steps. Okay? So fill in, I'm going to give you about 15 seconds. Just fill in your X and your box. Fill in your X and your box. Remember that this is the A times the C. It's not just the C anymore because A is not 1. Okay. Did you get yours filled in like that?
Oh.
So it should look like this. That's just the setting up process. Now we need to figure out what factors of 24. Okay, you might need to make you a list over to the side. So I'm going to make a list because we haven't had that as an example yet. So 1 times 24, because you've all been pretty fast about guessing what they are, figuring them out without making a list. But some people can't figure them out that fast, so I'm going to give them a method to use. So does 1 times 24, I know that these have to be the same sign, right? We already discussed that. So these have to be both positive because my 11 is positive and my 24 is positive. So does 1 plus 24 give me 11?
No.
No. So next, 2 times 12. Does 2 plus 12 give me 11?
No.
No. 3 times 8. Does 3 plus 8 give me 11?
Yes.
Okay, so we know that we're going to use 3 and 8. So if you can't figure it out right away, or every combination you're thinking of doesn't work, then start making you a list. Don't waste time trying to do it all in your head when you can make a list and eliminate them as you go. I always start with 1. It divides by 1. Not everything divides by 2. See if it does. If it divides by 3, that's next. 4. Just go down your numbers there. So now I know that this is going to be 3x and 8x. Now it is very important that we do use greatest common factors. So what's my greatest common factor here between 6 and 8? 2. I do automatically know that I've got x's going here, right? Okay. So now what is my greatest common factor going this way between 4 and 3?
Hey, I got a dentist appointment. What kind? What are we doing in your class? We started that recently.
Would it be 1?
It would be 1.
1.
Because 3 and 4.
Is this the project you talking about?
Between 1 and 25.
11.
That's your person.
Who the heck? What the heck?
So I write it down on your paper so you know who it is, because that's your paper. Okay, so it's 1. Okay. Now if I do greatest common factors going this way, okay, 3 and 6. What's the greatest common factor between 3 and 6? 3. Oh. Okay, and the greatest common factor between 4 and 8?
2. 4. Oh, greatest.
4, right? So double check. So now let's see. 2x times 3x, does that give me 6x squared?
Yes.
Okay, 2x times 4, does that give me 8x?
No. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's it. And then turn it in your other one. So 3x times 1, does that give me 3x?
Right, yeah.
4 times 1?
I got brain fart.
Okay, so my factors that I'm going to list over here are 2x plus 1 times 3x plus 4. Okay. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple more, but I have asterisks beside D because we need to talk about it. So I want to make sure we get to that one for sure. So let's skip down to D first. What do you notice about D that's different from all of the other ones there?
But the first one is negative.
The first one is negative, exactly. Okay, and that poses a problem for us because if we go back up to the top, we said A is greater than 1. Is a negative number greater than 1?
No.
No. So there's an easy fix to it. You just have to know what it is.
You divide
By?
2.
Not by 2, because that's not going to change my problem.
The greatest.
Oh my goodness.
You okay? Why are you not asking just breathe?
Bro, it's hot. You know? I know.
So the way that we fix that, how can we change the signs? You're on the right track by dividing. What do we need to divide by to change the sign?
3, negative 3.
Negative 3.
Divide them all by -2. Oh.
Just by -1, because -2 doesn't go evenly into everything, right? But -1 will.
Right.
-1 will. So that just means we're going to rewrite it now, changing the signs on everything. So if it were positive, we're going to make it negative. And if it were negative, we're going to make it positive. In this case, they were all negative, so we changed them all to positive.
Wait, you forgot your pouch.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're going to finish this one real quick so we can get through it. Okay, same process now. Okay, this -1, however, skips the line and it goes over here to be -1 in front of your answer. Okay? So we've got -1 over here in front of my answer. Okay, and I'm going to factor everything that is in the parentheses here. Okay, that was left over after I changed the sign. So in this top, 3 times 2 is 6. And so what's my factors that are going to multiply to 6 and add to 5?
3 and 2.
3 and 2. Okay, so over here in my box, I've got 2x squared and -3. And now I know that one of these is going to be 3x and one is going to be 2x. So what is my greatest common factor between 2 and 2? 2, and between x squared and x. Okay, and then if I do it this way, between 3x and -3?
3, -3.
3. Okay, and then if I do it the other direction, this way?
Negative, no, just 1.
Just 1, just x, yep. And then this one?
Just 1.
Just 1 again. However, does 3 times negative, or does 3 times +1 give me -3?
That'd be a -1.
Oh, I wrote, what did I do wrong in my box?
You wrote negative.
I wrote a negative instead of a positive. This should have been a +3. Okay, so yes.
I got you.
So now my answer is always -1 times 2x plus 3 and x plus 1. Okay, that -1 has to be included. Okay, it has to be included out front. I will finish these other two and get those answers posted on Google Classroom. I'm not done talking yet. Have a seat. Okay, there's a couple other things we need to talk about. But nope, you're not dismissed yet. Okay, if you want to know the traditional method to learning how to factor them, okay, that's what this last page of notes is. I'm not going to go over it. It's trial and error. It can take forever to do it. Okay, and you do have an assignment, so grab it on your way out. And you have the paper copy gets turned into me. You will have a sub tomorrow. Therefore, turn it into me on Friday or turn it into my box over there. If you colored stuff, then
Oh, I didn't color nothing, but
that's fine. If you colored stuff to turn stuff into me, it's the box there too. But be sure you put your answers in Go Formative. Here's one. Did you get 2 of them sorted?
What? Why don't you put it on your back? You're a bum. Come on, one of these pencils.
Make